I'm talking today to Philip Chukwueke, who is the Regional Director Africa for the CDMA Development Group. Philip, tell me, CDMA in Africa has been two large things really. One has been the CDMA 2000 handsets, and the other has been the CDMA products in the mobile space. Where are you in terms of what is happening at the moment? What's the position?
Okay. First of all, in terms of footprint and coverage, CDMA 2000 continues to grow in Africa. If you actually look at the coverage map for Africa and we put a specific color, say blue, on all the different places where you have CDMA in the continent, you will be amazed. I think from a footprint standpoint, CDMA probably covers at least 60 to 70% of the continent, I think. The habited part of the continent, not counting the deserts.
Yes.
Most of the applications have centered on wireless local loop applications in many countries, and in some countries like Nigeria with universal licensing schemes have been also used for mobility. So it is basically an infrastructure that can support three things, whether it's WLL, whether it's universal services based on mobility, and or whether it is for broadband services to give you better internet access experience in different parts of Africa. Nigeria is a very good example of that, where CDMA is pushing very aggressively into the mobile broadband space.
And so what's the roadmap going forward if we look at both voice and data for CDMA products? What happens beyond CDMA 2000? What happens beyond the existing generation of Rev A operators?
Okay. Africa, as you know, just like what is happening in different parts of the world, is seeing a very large growth in data demand, especially for mobile data. So we see tremendous opportunity for the present crop of CDMA operators, and even the new ones that are coming up on screen, to look very closely at the opportunities in mobile broadband data. Ultimately, Africa, like every other part of the world, is looking at going to LTE, long-term evolution, at some point. But we believe that before LTE becomes a reality in Africa, quite a few fundamental issues have to be resolved. Licensing issues, spectrum issues, and availability of handset issues, and also, like I said, spectrum. So, conservatively, we see at least a 5 to 7 year window of opportunity for mobile broadband that CDMA operators, be they licensed for WLL or for universal services, to take advantage of.
So that would be Rev B that they would be taking advantage.
Ultimately, that would be Rev B. But even before Rev B, there are still a few things that you can do today with your present CDMA network, especially CDMA Advanced, which tremendously increases your capacity of the existing network without much stress on handsets and terminals that would support it. This is mostly a software upgrade to your network. But beyond CDMA Advanced, we are now looking at Rev B, which will give you user experiences that are very comparable to HSPA.
So you're talking a maximum speed for the moment of 7.2.
7.2, and have to look at the most current numbers to confirm that. I can even confirm that in the next half an hour of this presentation. But let's talk, 7.2 to be very safe.
Yeah.
I can confirm other numbers such as 14 point.
But they're working on taking it up to 14 point.
Precisely.
Yes. So how many operators in Africa have currently got Rev B?
Today, in sub-Saharan Africa, we are looking at 2 operators. Starcoms in Nigeria has gone commercial.
Yeah.
Cameroon Tel, which is Camtel, is currently doing final round of testing for the technology with quite a few base stations in Cameroon. We are looking at the 2 opportunities, those 2 deployments, very carefully. Cameroon, as you know, is geographically right next door to Nigeria.
Yeah.
So we will be focusing on the market dynamics the handset and terminal strategies. We're also going to be looking at areas of common interest between the two operators so that they can leverage off of each other's experiences, and perhaps also look into such strategies as handset demand aggregation so that they can
buy handsets together.
Economies of scale. So that is a very good case point for us to focus on in the next 6 months. And I'm hoping that perhaps by the early part of next year, we will be hearing a few more confirmed Rev B commitments, at least 1 or 2 coming up in Nigeria.
Okay. And in terms of Camtel and Starcoms, how many data subscribers have they currently got on Rev B?
In the case of Camtel, they have not commercially launched the
so they're still piloting.
Yet. And in the case of Starcoms, I think they launched it about a month and a half ago.
So it's early days.
It's early days. I don't have those numbers to give you yet. But from the last press interview credited to Logan Pather, the new CEO of Starcoms, I believe Starcoms is looking at ratcheting up a few commercial subscriptions on the Rev B network.
Okay. And so if LTE is 5 to 7 years away, then
in Africa,
what is it that people should be looking at in terms of dealing with voice using CDMA?
Well, at present, those who use CDMA for voice can attest to the fact that it is one of the cleanest and pristine voice clarity networks you can find on the continent. This is a combination of 2 reasons. One is the coding schemes give you a very good voice quality, and secondly, in some places the networks have actually been harmonized properly to balance the demand put on the network versus the number of subscribers that these networks have. In other words, they're not overloaded for the most part. So in terms of better user experience, subscribers can continue to count on that. Personally, I have multiple phones that I use. When I have to do a multi-nation conference call where I insist on voice quality, I always default to my CDMA handset from Starcoms.
Right.
So that will continue to be there. Now, traditionally, there has been some tariff advantages using CDMA simply because of the pricing schemes pursued by the operators. It's really not as a result of technology, but as a result of commercial pricing schemes.
Yep.
In some markets, these pricing schemes have come under severe competition as GSM tariff structures continue to crumble.
Yeah, the interconnection prices have gone right down.
Yes. But in some other markets, there is still that advantage of tariff structures offered by the CDMA operators. So,
Philip, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you very much, Russell.